Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Carlton Rap Podcast. Joined again by Ari Stamatakos, as always. Look, a very hard loss to take. And if you're like myself, who just experienced your basketball team losing in the NBA Finals, it's been a really rough 24 hours. But we're here to dissect it all, talk it through. We've already talked a lot. There's a lot of talking points to go over. But give me your initial thoughts. How are you feeling morning after?
It's like a bad hangover. It sucked. It hasn't. I mean, I thought it would by now have just kind of like relaxed and like kind of just like mellowed down, and we'll just move on. But it hasn't. Maybe tonight once more footy happens and I can take my mind off things. But no, it's still hard to take, especially considering the potential repercussions of this game in terms of the 8 and all this stuff. So yeah.
Well, like I said, a lot of talking points, and we'll start with the game. But you know, Twitter is something we need to talk about, and we've got a lot of talking points on this. You talk more on Twitter than I do, but I'm still pretty engaged, and I look at a lot of things. And then, a couple of things have happened since last night's game, which I think are worth touching on as just a general social media topic in general. But let's start at the game. And you're at the game. I was watching on TV. Terrible conditions.
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Shocking. It rained, and I didn't think it rained. The radar said no rain. I don't think the players expected rain. But it was blustering sideways, left, right, upside down at stages as well. But at stages it was shocking to watch, and it was quite clearly shocking to play in as well.
Well, look, and we didn't expect that. Maybe Richmond did, because they seemed to just play the conditions. Let's say adapted quicker than we did, and there's like I said, a lot of talking points. But let's start at the conditions itself and the way we played. Went into quarter time down 20-4, and look, even with quite a terrible quarter, at least we hadn't kicked ourselves out of a game with 4 behinds, but that got out to 39-4. And even if we tried to mount a comeback, which we did, it was just a lot harder than what it should have been, because in the wet, well, my general theory with the wet is whatever the margin is, put 2 goals on it, and that's what it would be in dry weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really sucked. What were you like? I mean, first quarter, how were you feeling about the way we were playing? Were you expecting a change? Because I was certainly expecting a Voss talk up at quarter time and then something to change.
Well, we have our notorious really good second quarters. So I was kind of banking on that to get us out of danger. But I didn't really think people say we played the conditions poorly. We still had 4 scoring shots in the first quarter, and they were gettable ones at that. I know Walsh had one that was gettable. I think Nunes had one that was gettable. And probably in dry conditions, we go into quarter time, maybe 3 goals won instead of 0-4. So take some solace in that aspect. I think defensively was the main issue. I feel like everything forward half of the ball, barring maybe forward movement, and something that I noticed because I was sitting level 4, border like kind of behind the goals, but in the pocket. The movement from Harry and Charlie in the wet, and even Jack Martin at times, was strange. I don't want to call it bad, because I mean they're like elite sportsmen and elite key forwards, but it was strange. They had Nathan Broad and Vlostone being as that spare in defence, and we didn't really try and change the way we were moving the ball inside 50. It was kind of, if we tried to kick along and try to get territory and play the traditional way that you're meant to play in the wet, it would have gone to a 2-on-1 every single time. And as much as Charlie and Harry are gods, I doubt they would at least halve it. But yeah, I feel like we quite clearly played better in the dry. I feel like that's like a unanimous consensus there.
Well, I mean, that was actually something I was going to bring up, because that's what I kept reading, over handballing it. But I guess when you're watching on TV, you think, well, how are they set up in front of the ball? Because that was what I was feeling, is that, well, they're handballing it because obviously nothing's happening up forward. what were your thoughts regarding the small forwards? Because I thought they were the most crucial part to beating Richmond, and they seem to be in round one. Yet, Durden had to move up quite a lot, and when we needed them deep inside 50, I just don't think they were there. What did you make of him in the end?
I feel like they've had it down. Both him and Owies have had it down maybe month, maybe since the Sydney game. I mean, Sydney game they were exceptional. Maybe Collingwood, Essendon, and then tonight or last night. Yeah, they just weren't. I feel like they're struggling to read the ball off the packs a lot, or they're just struggling to do that. I think it might be Nathan Brown or David King, one of them, one of these esteemed analysis people, or whatever they're called. They spoke heavily, especially after the Sydney game, of our post clearance stoppage work. So the second, so if you use in a soccer term, the second ball. So from the source, we either win the clearance or lose the clearance. But regardless of wherever that next ball goes, we have the numbers everywhere, both at the front, at the back, and we're swarming that second ball, that second stoppage. I feel like Richmond, we were able to get the ball out a lot, just at ease especially in the wet. They were just able to get the ball out so comfortably, and our smalls didn't really have an impact.
76 inside 50s conceded. I mean, I'm going to take a guess and say that's probably the worst all year, unless there's another game you can think of. It probably would be the worst. I mean, this is going to be a problem, really, until you get your full team back. And I don't want to put too much blame on that back line that had probably not much experience when you look at it average games-wise. Durden, he was average, but what do we expect out of a bloke who's been there for 14 days?
You can't expect Jacob Wiedering to be reincarnated.
It's not going to happen.
And also, he's playing on Jack Rivott and Tom Lynch. Next week he's playing on Matt Taylor and Rory Lobb. There's differences there, And Jack Rivott's someone who smells a mismatch or smells inexperience, will punish you every single time because he's just that experienced, right? But it was a baptism of fire. Can't blame Sam Durden at all.
Well, I guess the source of that problem comes from Senate clearances, because if you're not winning those clearances, well then so you're going to concede those inside 50s. Look, I don't think our actual midfield in a whole has been affected that much by injuries. And I'm surprised they've dropped as much form as they have.
Yeah.
And I think they still need a lot. And I think with that change in coaching personnel, they only really had time to set up for a plan A. And they don't think they've really developed a plan B yet. And it's really going to kill us until it happens, I think. And this is the result of it having no plan B. Completely hoping the centre clearance will happen. That's how we get our entries. But I think along with that, the winners are an issue that need to be addressed in my eyes. And you know why I'm saying that. But, and okay, look, a lot of people say Lockie O'Brien played a good game. And
okay, but before you start, if you were to give a rating out of 10 for Lockie O'Brien, what would it be? Just try and think as rationally as possible.
I'd say 6.5. Because he was, to tell you how our game was, that he was still one of our better players. But
he was,
it just, look, I just think he, to have him there, and I tweeted about this, the only tweet I did tonight, that his spatial awareness is just really, really poor. And the amount of times where he had an opponent that was not too far from him and he just jogs over, easy uncontested mark. He'll get the ball in contested areas, just pump it out to absolutely no one. Frustrates me. Because, man, and I said this in a couple of the episodes ago, I said he's just got to fix up that real, second effort, 1%er type stuff, and he's there, but he's not. And I think that frustrated me. Other side of the win, Cottrell, I think played pretty similar to the way O'Brien did.
I thought he played well. And even Nunes. I thought I thought they all played their game. Like, they all just did what they did. Like, they didn't play exceptionally poorly or they didn't play exceptionally well. It was just kind of a, like you said, 6.5, 7 out of 10 at the maximum for all three. But, yeah.
Yeah, they got their hands on the ball a lot, which is what we needed, especially when we weren't doing much out of the middle. They put themselves in the game, really established themselves on the wing. And it's just, will they win us games of football, those two?
Who?
Probably not.
Cottrell and
O'Brien.
I think
And
O'Brien
not individually. I just like having those two on the wing. Will they really give us a terrific chance against these top teams out of 10 times?
Well, it's that thing. At their best, yes, but at their worst, definitely not. And their worst and their best, the gulf is so different. And I mean that's probably a microcosm of the whole team. Our best is the best in the comp that I've seen this year. By like that, watch that second quarter against Sydney again. That is the best quarter of football I've seen from any team all year. It was ridiculous, and that's from every single player. But then again, watch the first 60 minutes of last night. That was one of the worst I've ever seen this season from a team.
It was. To back up my statement, so I don't seem like I'm just... I don't like O'Brien. I'm not hiding from that fact. And I give him credit where credit's due, and he has very good attributes, but 50% disposal efficiency. And yes, it was wet, but there were also from the looks of it, about 15 or 16 players that had better disposal efficiency than them. So it can't be blamed on the rain. It is a problem, I believe. Just frustrates me. I don't know how long it will take me to just like him, enjoy him, but I don't know. I just, and it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. There are a lot of poor performances yesterday. And I guess let's talk about those poor performances so it just doesn't seem like I'm shitting on O'Brien here. Zach Fisher, I thought...
I mean, my mind, when you said poor performance, my mind went to Jack Martin.
Jack Martin, Jack Martin, definitely. But I just started with going on that half forward stance.
Yeah. And it was a game where it was the worst game to be a half forward you could imagine, because the ball wasn't getting kicked there well. Like when Zach Fisher and Jack Martin are in the game is when the delivery to them is exceptional, because they're not like Harry and Charlie where they can make a 5 out of 10 kick look a 10 out of 10 kick because they're ridiculously good. They need a lot of things to go right for them. So last night wasn't exactly the game for them. I feel like Zach Fisher played a lot of midfield minutes. I think that was maybe to counteract Shea Bolton, because Shea Bolton's very quick. Zach Fisher, while he's not lightning quick, he's got some pace about him. So, yeah. Although I think Jack Martin's game has to be dissected a little bit more.
Well, on Jack Martin, listening to Terry's fan cams last night, a lot of people were really adamant on dropping him. But can we afford it? Like,
who do you bring in?
Well, that's yeah. Can you afford to drop a guy who? Well,
I mean, we played our best footy with Durden, Owies, Motlop, no?
I agree. Yeah, well, that's the problem with Jack Martin, and you're taking a risk on him every single game he plays because his hot is extremely hot, but he doesn't have a middle. It's just hot or cold, and the cold is without a half forward.
Yeah. Cold is playing with 17 blokes.
So.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's no one to take out unless Motlop.
Well, he did get subbed out.
Well, he did. I don't even know what it was for. All I know is Durden's was for some knee thing.
Durden's was I think he tackled someone and they fell on him. I saw that incident. Yeah. That was late in the last quarter.
Well,
I don't know what happened with Martin, but I mean he should get dropped. He should get at least dropped from injury perspective, no? If he got subbed out.
Well, yes, Look, it'd be frustrating if Motlop doesn't tear it up in the reserves tonight, because I feel like if that is the case, like I'd want him to come in good form.
Yeah.
Even if Martin gets dropped based off last night,
Well, you can't bring Fogarty in because he came on and did precisely nothing.
nothing. Well,
I think I saw.
fact.
Yeah, I
He
can't.
had
I can't
0-0-0-0.
There you go. I can't remember who said this, but this tweet was so funny. It was, thank God we've got Lockie Fogarty as the sub in case we need an extra injection of vanilla in our team. I thought that's great. That is so good. No disrespect, Lockie, but just find something. Find some X factor. But yeah, he didn't. He came on, didn't really have an impact.
Yeah. Which was, I sort of thought, I saw him as a sub, and I actually thought it wasn't a bad sub purely because playing small against Richmond tends to work. But
yeah, fighting fire with fire, yeah.
But I guess in that, when the game is like it was in terms of conditions and everything, I don't know. I just don't think it.
Yeah,
I think it was
not smart
to happen. But let's work on. Let's move on to who turned up in the end, and Harry kicked 4, and then the rest were singles.
Shock horror, Harry Mackay kicks 4.
I mean, he's killing it in the wet. Like, tall forwards shouldn't have a good game in the wet.
That's good. That's good. And if any forward from our team is going to have a good game in the wet, it'd be Charlie.
Yeah.
But to see Harry kick 4 and really destroy Robbie Tarrant, especially in the last quarter, that banana from the boundary was chef's kiss. That was gorgeous.
It was good.
But yeah, played well. I feel like one of those things. If he kicks 4 in the first half, he probably win. Or if his 4 goals come, 2 in the first quarter, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then he has the fourth quarter of just like whatever, kicks maybe 1 or 2, then we probably win the game. It's just that all these 4 goals came in the last quarter, or 3 of them came in the last quarter.
Cripps and Walsh were top disposal getters, 34. And it's odd. Like, I think it goes back to the sort of set and clearance in here. I think because we got smashed so badly, their games got a bit mellowed by that.
Yeah.
What did you think of it in the end? Because Walsh, I thought Walsh was really
Walsh
good.
was hot really early as well. He had like 11 touches within the first 11 minutes. And he was damaging. Maybe not damaging in terms of like hitting inside 50s, but he was at least doing something with the ball. Cripps, I mean, I think Joe Adamo did put it well on the fan cams. I think he had 34 touches, but he's something like 79 Supercoach points, which I know it's a game, but it's a pretty good tell of efficiency. And I think they said that he had 10 clangers. So I mean, I'd rather Cripps get 34 and 10 clangers than have 15 and do precisely fuck all with the ball. Yeah. But yeah, I just feel like maybe it was a victim of we just need to do something. So they would try to get the Hollywood pass every single time.
Sam Doherty, I mean, he would probably be man of the match, Carlton-wise at least.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, he stood up, especially that last quarter. I mean,
yeah, took a couple of really good marks.
Just quickly check how many intercept marks he did have, but I'd assume he probably would have racked up quite a few in the end. If I can even find it here, but intercepts.
He had 10 rebound 50s, 11 marks.
Had 9 in the end.
There you go.
It's 9 intercepts, not sure intercept marks. Sard had 15 intercepts. Actually, player that I've just seen here, Jordan Boyd. Let's talk about him because I have been not very pleased with him purely just because I don't think he's up to the standard, but he had a very good game.
Yes.
So you've got to give him credit for that.
He had a very, very good game.
He really stood up, and I was surprised seeing the impact he made. You know, I feel like every time he touches the ball, I'm just waiting for a turnover to happen. He's just one of those players where you're never sure what's really going to happen. But he even created like inside 50, like effective inside 50 entries, which, you know, that's an extra for a rolling halfback. So that was, best game for him so far.
Yeah, no doubt. And when you think of Jordan Boyd, you think of like a player that would be like in the Lockie Plowman mold, which is very defensive. But like you said, he was pushing up the ground, kicking inside 50, trying to create something. So yeah, I was very, very pleased with his game. He's tough, tenacious, and he's starting to find his feet with his ball use. I feel like people, I mean, myself included in that, judged him a little bit early with his ball use, especially at AFL standard. First game of AFL, second, third game of AFL, especially when you're not a top 20 pick. You're going to shit yourself every time you get the ball, right? So you just need to find his feet, and now he's finding his feet. He's playing some really good footy, so I'm really pleased with that.
Well, I mean, I think that's where we should leave it player-wise, because, I mean, that's the thing with a loss. It's really so much you can talk about, and most of them play the same. They play pretty average. I mean, let's take the umpiring route. And look,
they were brilliant. I don't know what you're talking about.
As much as it, I try to stay away from it when it, I can accept losing when you lose a game fair and square. And we didn't play. I think Richmond played better than us over 4 quarters. They deserve to win, no problem. But do I think they won the game fair and square? No, I didn't. And started from the first quarter. I just thought, the Lynch free kick.
Yeah, he tickled Adam's brain and no high tackle there.
I mean, the trip.
The trip, yes.
It just, they set these precedents and do not stay consistent with them at all.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. Very, very frustrating because I want to say that they had a direct impact on the result of the game. And the reason I say that is because you can say, the Tigers won by 3 goals. Yes, they did win by 3 goals. And yes, Carlton kicked like a bunch of 12-year-olds at times. Being 0-4 in the first quarter is an example of that. And yes, we didn't acclimatise to the conditions. And yes, all this stuff is a factor. However, let's take the Jack Nunes goal, for example. I know that's not directly the umpires, but no, I'm still giving that as an umpire error. That's a 12-point play. They go up the other and kick a goal. And yes, you can say Carlton should have defended better, but that is a direct cause of an umpiring mistake, in my opinion. I don't understand how that is a clear overrule for touched. I don't get that. I don't get that. Secondly, let's just take the Tom Lynch free kick as an example. The Tom Lynch non-decision on Adam's side, right? Adam's side goes down in a heap. Just to put that in context, that if that happened in a UFC fight, the fight probably gets called off. Put into context about how bad that eye poke was. Michael Wilson, captured it brilliantly. It is a jarring photo on his Twitter. But that caused a goal. And not only does that cause a goal, it doesn't just cause 6 points to tick on the scoreboard. It causes a change in mentality straight away. Every single goal has a much bigger impact than just 6 points. Like I just said with the Jack Nunes goal. Jack Nunes, if that goal stands, Carlton probably win the game. It's 3 points. We would have romped at home. I think 90% of people thought, all right, if this goal stands, they're going to kick on with it. Like we did in round 1.
However, might just be... No, sorry. Go.
They go up the other end, kick a goal, game over. Game over from there.
Yeah.
It's a mentality.
Everyone felt that.
Yeah, everyone felt that.
I don't know. This might just be like the sore loser in me talking, but I get the idea that Richmond claimed that was touch when it really wasn't, just to halt our momentum.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't blame them for that at all, no.
I just, it was frustrating watching it. And it was worse watching at home because you go to an ad break and you're on this high and you come back and they're showing a review and it's like what now? What now? I really couldn't understand it. And who was it? Was it Broad? His 3 fingers that did not touch the ball moved like that, and the others did not move.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, I don't. Yeah, like you said, I don't blame them for calling touched, for appealing that it was touched. That's gamesmanship. You do that. You try and do everything you can to win. I don't blame them for doing that at all. I would have done the same thing if it's up the other end and Plowman does that. We're all lauding him, right? I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's it's fair.
And in the same vein, I don't have a problem with players ducking for free kicks. It's gamesmanship. Blame the umpires for giving it high tackle when he's ducked to the guy's knees. Like, use a bit of nuance in your decisions, please. Blame the umpires.
I think what hurt us more with that play after that goal was when Doc got pushed in the back right in front of the umpire. Play on. Maybe it wasn't, but initial viewing, it looked like he got shoved right in the back.
Yeah.
Did it? I mean, I don't know where you were sitting.
I was down the other end. So, put it in perspective, I saw the Jack Nunes goal, see the ball go right through the sticks.
Yeah.
Like it was like I was sitting in that pocket, like to the right hand side of the Richmond cheer squad if you're facing the ground. So the Doherty push happened the complete opposite direction from me.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even appealing at that stage because I was like, of course I'm not going to give it.
It just killed me inside.
It broke me.
It wasn't the goal. It was that. It was like, just everything that happened.
It reminded me of last year. It reminded me of last year when, and it was different because it got stolen from us. We didn't do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
It got stolen from us. And whereas last year we'd be 4 goals down, we'd kick 3 in a row, it'd be back within 3 points, and then we'd do something dumb, and they'd go up down and kick a goal. Whereas it wasn't our fault. Like, that goal should have stood, and that sinking feeling of it getting ripped out of our hearts again. It's like, fuck. I thought we were past this. I thought this was David Teague football.
Yeah.
It
just sucked, and like I said, Richmond with a better team over 4 quarters. If you get out to a 35-point lead, your problem. You deserve you put yourself in that position. So I'm not saying we played better and lost.
Yeah, just like Richmond against Sydney. They blew a 35-point lead and probably should have gotten a draw, in my opinion. I mean, barring a Dion Presto and kicker from 50. But it's a swings and roundabouts. Swings and roundabouts, I guess.
Let's talk about a couple more things. Let's talk about Shai Bolton, which we've got a lot to talk about that. And then this links into we'll talk about Twitter and then we'll preview Fremantle, I guess.
That's it.
Let's start with Bolton. I mean,
no.
Look, I wasn't pissed off, but it's just
I was.
Mate, context, you've just knocked off a injury-ridden Carlton side.
But that was in the first quarter. That was the first goal of the last quarter. So it's not like they had the game won.
Yeah. Well, that's. I thought they did. Well, I thought they did at least, but I can get why he did it.
Okay, Jack Ginnivan, it celebrates early when he kicks a goal against Freo. The game's done. He kicks that 5 goals with however many minutes left in the wet. The game's done.
Yeah.
If Shai Bolton does that with a minute to go, and they'll put some 3 goals up, then fine. Maybe not fine, but I can understand why you would at least think of doing that. But relax, mate. It's still 5 goals early in the first quarter. Carlton could kick 10 goals in 10 minutes if they wanted to. We're that good at our best. So, I just thought,
Okay, well, this is where we move to Twitter, and
do we have to?
Well, we do because there's a lot to go on, and your tweet got up last night, and it after circumstance had to be taken down, but I think the overall story is that people seriously just cannot understand perspective. It is just, if you tweet something bad, you are a racist. You are a terrible person for saying something bad about XYZ person.
Not even saying something bad. Saying something that could be perceived as bad. That's the key thing. If I say something to you over this medium, my speech. This is the problem with Twitter. This is the problem with Twitter. This is the problem with Facebook. This is the problem with Instagram. This is the problem with this is the problem with social media. If I say something to you right now, you can take everything that's not just the words I'm saying into perspective when calculating what I've just said means in your head. It's like my facial expression, my tone, my hand signals, whatever. Whether I'm laughing, whether I'm being serious, whatever. Over Twitter, it is words. And these words, to some people, have no other meaning than their literal definition. There's no nuance in it, which causes arguments, put it that way.
I mean, so this is, I mean, Shy Bolton really exploded Twitter last night. I think that's a fair way to say. And
yeah, not for the first time.
Not for the first time. I mean, there was just a lot said about him, just the behaviour about it in general. And
can I put it this way? I didn't see anything that was inherently, objectively, A, racist, or B, offensive. I didn't see anything that was either of those two things in an objective manner. That was fact, which you can't. And what I mean by that is, if you are offensive in an extreme manner, that is fact. If you are racist in an extreme, well, if you're racist in general, rather, that is fact. But there was nothing that I saw that was inherently either of those two things. Nothing that I saw. That could have been, but I didn't see any of it.
I mean, let's move on to the other side, which was people who said anything about it got attacked for it. So it wasn't necessarily people having a go at, it was the people who had a go at him that were getting sprayed for it. And I mean, I think it's worth talking about this just in general, because this tells you about the people that are on Twitter. And this is Jasmina, who a lot more Carlton fans have probably got to know on Twitter, because she's I wouldn't say big, I'd say quite tremendous Caleb Marchbank supporter, and she's gained a lot of traction over the last couple of weeks. And we were saying, like, we didn't know who she was until Marchbank debuted, so she's got quite a lot of attention. And I don't remember what she said. She said something about Shy Bolton, but was not on
something that has been said by a million of other people before about a million other players.
So, look, I can understand if you're a Richmond fan, you would get pissed off seeing that.
You would defend the player, 100%.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If someone had a go at Will Satterfield, man, would I be on their case and defend the shit out of him. But
and with Lockie Plowman on my end.
Exactly. the start. I mean, she had to turn her account on private this morning, which that's that's bad. And I've never talked to her one-on-one before, but what she was saying privately on Twitter, or just on when she turned it to private, people were attacking personal events that happened in her life, her as an individual, over something she said about a football player.
It's one of those things where, once again, why Twitter can sometimes be the best place in terms of a lot of other things. It can be really good, but more often than not, it can be the worst place, because it's people going too far on purpose. Attacking, maybe not, I'm sorry. Criticizing someone's opinion is more than warranted. More than warranted. That's why opinions exist, because to criticize them, right? I've had my opinion criticized on many occasions, particularly about Lockie Plowman, right? That's fine. I can accept that. People want to call me names. That's fine. I can accept that. I'm a big boy. I can take it. Just like you can. Just like a lot of people can, right? If people start attacking, like, viscerally and passionately attacking personal things that are completely unrelated, that's when it goes too far, because that's premeditated, and there's thought behind that.
I just don't understand. I don't understand the intention behind it.
There is no to be a dick. That's what the intention is.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. It just baffled me last night, because when you're at home watching it, I mean, at least me, I just stick, I just check Twitter every 2 minutes. And every umpiring call, you go to the hashtag and look at latest and see what people are saying. But personally, I think it's our generation that has fucked it up. And because our generation is a lot of taunting, I've noticed. And I think
baiting.
and it's spread.
Yeah, that's why I don't respond. That's why, particularly me, I've learnt now to try not to respond as much as possible, because that's all they want. If I say something about whatever player, Tom Hawkins, let's say Tom Hawkins, and some Geelong supporter comes at me calling me a fucking idiot or whatever, they say that because they want me to respond and they want to get into an argument because they think it's funny. So that's why I do either stay off, like I try not to respond to people I don't know, or I try to respond in a civil manner and only respond to people who I know can have a genuine an argument with, or like if I say something and you disagree, for example, whatever it is, doesn't have to be about sport, whatever, and you tweet back at me saying I disagree with this, I will then respond to you because I know that we can have a civil conversation because we're both good people and intelligent people, right? Other people can't, and other people just want to bait for no reason.
It's just a weird thing, and I was just thinking about it today, and like, you know, we both get emotional watching football, but it's like holy shit, like, did people seriously just do that over 44 people running around on a patch of grass for 120 minutes?
Yeah, and emotions are high. People say shit. It's like people say shit. People would say shit on the ground. Imagine some of the things that are said on the ground. Imagine some of the things that were said to Shea Bolton after that, if that happened. Just imagine that, right?
Yeah.
So people just need to relax and keep it to football, or keep it to the subject. Put it that way. It doesn't have to be about football. It can be about the weather or whatever. Just keep it about the subject, because that's the way that civil people are able to communicate.
I feel like there should be harsher penalties on Twitter for that type of stuff. I don't know. It's hard to enforce stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, I want to read Twitter to like hear people's just like opinions. Like, I feel like you can't go on it anymore just without seeing some dumb shit that someone's had to put in. It just ruins it.
That's what Twitter. But Twitter is the social media for that, because you don't just see what you follow on Instagram. Put it this way: people are like, this is going to be on a tangent, but trust me, it'll relate. People are like, oh, Instagram models are setting unrealistic body expectations for women and for men, whatever, right? Hey, on Instagram, there's a tab where you can just look at who you're following. My Instagram is full of dog pictures, funny dog videos, and memes. That's all my Instagram is, because I filter what I want to see. Instagram for me is the least toxic application on planet Earth. It's great. It's even less toxic than Flappy Golf, right? It's beautiful. Beautiful app, because I just see what I want to see. On Twitter and on Facebook, they recommend shit based off likes and retweets and suggestions and words and all this stuff. So maybe it's a Twitter thing, but
it's, I don't know. I honestly, Instagram's like equally as bad as Twitter. I don't know. Maybe it's just, I think.
How so?
How so? Maybe it's just because everything's like filtered into just sport, like, which is where the toxicity comes from. But like,
another thing,
I'm like,
are you talking about like comments on Instagram photos?
Yeah, comments. That's
just don't click on there's a thing, view all comments. Just don't click on it.
There is, yeah.
Whereas on Twitter, it will literally come up with a comment underneath the post,
which does
just on your feed.
Which I wonder, if that wasn't a thing on Twitter, if it would kill a lot of it, because I think a lot of people only respond because of a reply to a tweet rather than. If
there was a function, I don't know if there is on Twitter, there might be, but if there was a function where you can only see what you follow, and that was the default setting, Twitter would be a much better place.
Yeah, it would be. And I feel like there is, I don't know, settings, notification, filters. No, maybe not. Doesn't seem like there is, but I thought that was just a conversation to have, because like, I thought that was probably the worst I've seen all year. I I just thought in terms of the scenarios that went on field, like for there to be so much like I saw after effect from it, I thought was pretty appalling. I just don't. I don't think I've seen it that bad, and like the Collingwood. I thought that even the Collingwood game was much better than that, and it sucks to lose to Collingwood, and I thought that was handled pretty well, even though people were salty. But like,
I feel like Collingwood was resolved quickly. I feel like once the game, like an hour after the game, once the emotions calmed down, everyone went back to like, all right, we went too far, we go too far, whatever. It was all resolved very quickly. Let's just take Swoop Luke for an example. Everyone loves Luke because he's a good guy, right? Well, he hasn't done anything bad to me. He seems like a really good person. And it was all resolved very quickly because it's over a football game, guys. Just relax.
Yeah, well, let's hope people actually learn the limits of what is okay and not okay to put on Twitter. But I think that is just a conversation.
Let's just not attack people. Let's just live in a happy world, man.
Yeah.
Why can't we just be positive?
We'll win a premiership. Don't worry. And when we do, we'll make sure those people who taunted us don't know about
we'll taunt them back, and then it'll be official.
Civil way.
In a very civil and intelligent and articulate way. Yes.
Yeah, just handle the hate.
Yeah,
that's what I feel. And like following NBA finals where all you get is this, like that is, I think NBA is way more toxic than AFL by like a long way. It's actually equal with EPL nearly, probably like full on slander for everything.
Football Twitter in terms of like European football is
just bad.
Like I'm not in the NBA Twitter because I don't really follow the sport, but football Twitter like from the European sphere is. And the good part about not being involved in that sphere is that you can sit back and laugh. But when you're involved, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I just think as much as AFL's bad, it could be worse. NBA Twitter can be very racist at times. Very racist. That's America. And it's just...
That's America. Like, we're less lucky that Australia's like full of like semi-good people at like most of the time.
Yeah.
America's we're just going to let them leave. Just be over there.
Real bad. But let's finish this off. Let's just move into the football side again to finish off. Biggest game of the week next week. I don't think it could. Well, unless we lose, and then we're going to say the St Kilda game is the biggest game of the week. But
yeah.
But yeah, Freo. I'm feeling confident. I don't know why. Like
it's at Marvel,
just think. Well, yeah, it's at Marvel. But even if it was the MCG, I'd feel confident as well. I just like. When you lose to Collingwood and Richmond, like, it wasn't in a row, but when you've been this patch, like, I just get this sense they're going to have to bounce back. Like, there's going to be a bounce back game.
We've had 3 poor performances. We only beat Essendon because Essendon are the worst side of the AFL, bar North and West Coast by a country mile. So there'll be a response. There has to be.
And it will be tough, and it won't be a response that's beaten by 5. Like, it will be full grind.
It won't be the Sydney game. Put it that way. No chance.
No,
it'll be back and forth. It'll be tense. It'll be close. It'll be. I'm not looking forward to it.
I have a feeling it will be similar to what Richmond just did to us, purely because they lost to us in round 1. Review the whole thing, and I think that's the only positive about playing a team twice is you have a game from the year to review. And it's Look, I think Freo do play the wider grounds better than the narrow grounds, so I think it suits us. It's just
clean deck, fast deck. Our home ground, there'll be no Freo fans there. Well, you'd think not. It's set up for us to get the job done.
Any ins or outs you want or expect?
We don't know because Jack Martin and Sam Durden. If Sam Durden goes down and is injured, I swear to God. No.
Well, Kemp has to come in, I guess.
If that's the case, then Kemp must play, unless they want to throw Jack Sauce down there. But put him in the sleeves. Get the band back together.
Oh jeez.
No, Kemp would have to play. and let's just assume Jack Martin goes out, either being omitted or being injured. You can't bring Fogarty in. Do you bring Jack Carroll back into the team? Do you bring Jesse Motlop back into the team? I guess we're going to have to see the performances of the VFL.
Yeah, and by the time this recording comes out, the VFL just would have played last night.
Yeah, so we're going to assume that we went 5 goals up at 3/4 time and lost by 12
and
points.
lost by
Yeah.
That's not even getting into that. Well, that's all from us. And if you're a regular listener, you're probably thinking, why does this bloke only record during losses? And a couple of reasons, because I like to talk about it when we lose.
Get the therapy done.
Good to get it out. And uni is a problem to get, and I don't like recording by myself. And Ari here provides great entertainment to talk to, and our uni schedules don't really match. So
yes, unfortunately,
this is why we're recording quite a lot at the moment, because we're both on a bit of a break. So there's a bit of content for the moment, and
yes,
I'm sure I'll go on a bit of a holiday for 6 weeks afterwards, and then I'll be back to record again.
For the grand final review.
Correct. There will be here. But catch us on the rest if you haven't.
Yes.
I've been lucky enough to join Ari as a co-host on the rest on Blue Abroad. So that's every Wednesday night. Catch that. And that's just a general AFL talk. Everything else that's happening in the league, that's pretty irrelevant.
Yes.
But
let's be honest.
We're there to talk about it.
Yes.
But thank you again for joining me, Ari. You're pretty much the regular now on this show.
It's a pleasure, mate. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else.
Well, until hopefully next week. Hopefully I'm back now. Hopefully I'm back in next week. Until whatever next time is. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Let's fingers crossed that we can turn around next week, and we will see you in the next one.
Yes. Goodbye.